Bob, as we just heard Jan say, more than half of Republicans are not enthusiastic about any of the candidates. How unusual is that?
It is unusual. I think this disenchantment with these candidates just reflects the general dissatisfaction and frustration across the country.
You know, it wasn't too long ago that the thought of another member of the Bush family running for president made even Republicans cringe. But as we all have seen this week, the political landscape has dramatically changed, and Jeb Bush is on the radar. And some GOP strategists tell us Bush would be a formidable challenger to a now vulnerable president in 2012 if he decides to run. What puts him at the top of the ticket at this point?
Jeb Bush has the Bush family name, but he was able to stay independent while his father and his brother were president, and that takes a lot of talent.
He owes everything to his last name. His connections, his money, the very fact that he's taken seriously as a candidate, they're all because his last name is Bush. A great graphic comparing Jeb's foreign policy advisors with the foreign policy advisors of the two Bush administrations and the Reagan administration. And that graphic makes one thing really, really clear. The same people who advised Ronald Reagan and both George Bushes on foreign policy are today advising Jeb Bush on foreign policy.
One top Republican official in Florida, who's a close friend of Jeb Bush's, tells us important figures in the party are urging him to run.
There's so much being said about 2012 and everything. Is Jeb thinking about it?
Would he be a good president? Absolutely.
Finally, what about the Bush family? We've had father and son in the White House. Is this the end, or not?
Well, we got another one out there who did a fabulous job as governor of Florida, and that's Jeb. But, you better ask him whether or not he's thinking about running.
So I'm asked this question a lot. You would think about 10 times you'd be done with it, but I keep answering it, honestly.
Mitt Romney has the momentum back after a big win in Arizona and a narrow victory over Rick Santorum in Michigan. But with Super Tuesday next week, the race of the Republican campaign, the pace of the Republican campaign, is what she's trying to say, is not about to let up.
Do you think Republicans may actually get to the convention without somebody having the delegates they need for the nomination? In other words, you think it could be actually contested?
We could have a convention where we don't know the real when we're going to get there, but I think when the delegates actually show up and get on the floor, they'll start to recognize winning the presidency is more important than fighting over who's going to be the nominee.
If you had to guess, who do you think they'll pick? Just a guess.
Well, I think Mitt Romney has the infrastructure in place and the momentum going for him right now. He's certainly been tested, and I like to see our candidates really, really tested, and Mitt Romney is being tested.
All right, but at least you're saying one of these men will be the nominee. You do believe that?
Well, you don't get to pick the perfect nominee in a primary process. You end up picking the candidate who will best represent the party, and there's a big difference between perfection and best. And I happen to have a perfect candidate for president. His name is John Ellis Bush, Jeb Bush.
What, did I say something? Jeb Bush, oh, look at that, huh? Now people are talking about Jeb Bush. How did that happen? It's not like Andy Carter's a good friend of the Bushes or anything like that. Oh, so what do I have in my pocket? Oh, look at that, it's Jeb Bush. Okay, so all of a sudden, we're talking about maybe it's not one of these guys. You know who doesn't like that kind of talk? Mitt Romney, clip one.
I didn't hear Chris's comments in that regard, but I can tell you this. I don't think there's any prospect of a brokered convention. I can't imagine the four candidates saying after a long process of fundraising and campaigning for, 1 to 2 years, that we're going to all step aside and give the nomination to someone else. we
Would that bug you if someone walked in like King Henry VIII and then grabbed the prize?
That's just not going to happen.
Let me tell you something. That's not going to happen, okay? And I think he's right. I mean, what would you have to do to Mitt Romney for him to say, oh, okay, yeah, sure, yeah. Why doesn't Jeb just stroll in here and take it from me? Oh, hell no, man. Oh, Mitt Romney would come to that convention full of every dagger you've ever seen in your life. He'd have shivs, etc., like in his ankles, his knees. I mean, in case he'd take them all out. He'd be like, whoosh, scimitars and all. He'd be like, oh, Jeb, you want to say, oh, no, go ahead, step in, Jeb. Let me see what
The kings and queens, their heads are going to be cut off. And Hillary, her head is going to be cut off. In the case of Bush Jr., his head is going to be cut off. metaphorically speaking.
Well, Fox News alert, Mitt Romney gets a major endorsement after his big victory in Illinois. Jeb Bush announcing he's endorsing the former Massachusetts governor for president just moments ago. That could be a factor. We'll see about these endorsements.
So Jeb Bush jumping on the Romney bandwagon this morning is essentially saying, hey, it's over. Let's give Mitt Romney the nomination and go about the business, in his view, of beating Barack Obama.
Thank you. Welcome to Florida. Bienvenidos a nuestra querida Florida. Thank you. Before I begin my remarks, I have something personal I'd like to share with you. I've been so blessed to be part of a family that has committed its life to public service. My granddad, my grandfather, and my father have been incredible role models for me and served our country honorably. And my brother, well, I love my brother.
"20 minutes later."
Look, everywhere in our lives we get a chance to choose. Go down any supermarket aisle and you'll find an incredible selection of milk. You can get whole milk, buttermilk, 2% milk, low-fat milk, or skim milk.
Eventually.
Organic milk and milk with extra vitamin D. There's flavored milk, chocolate, strawberry, or vanilla, and it doesn't even taste like milk. They even make milk for people who can't drink milk. That starts in the classroom. It starts in our communities. It starts where you live. And it starts with electing Mitt Romney, the next president of the United States.
I have just called President Obama to congratulate him on his victory. I so wish that I had been able to fulfill your hopes to lead the country in a different direction, but the nation chose another leader, and so Ann and I join with you to earnestly pray for him and for this great nation. Thank you, and God bless America.
You think Jeb Bush regrets that he didn't run?
Oh, I don't think anybody really looks back and regrets decisions they made in good faith. And I love Jeb Bush.